Hey, so I'm going to be going over this problem off the extra credit for the last week's statics homework. And in this problem, we have to find the forces in each of these members of this loaded truss. And to start off, I already found out that Bj is going to be equal to 0. And that is because the y component of this joint, the net forces in y is only contributed by Bj, and for those forces to be equal to 0, for it to be like a static bridge, then Bj has to be 0. Yep, so that's going to be the first one of our answers. Sorry for the bad drawing. Next, what you're probably going to want to do is find the moment about either A or F. I started with the moment about F, and from that, you can basically use method of joints and work about the entire truss. So the moment about F is going to have to be equal to 0, and that will be equal to a negative 2.6 force, kip force, going downwards times 12 feet away from joint or the moment point F. And then you have to add the vertical component of A, which I'm going to call AY, times 30 feet away. And I'm going to label AY over here. And from that, you're going to get that AY is equal to, using your calculator obviously, AY is going to be equal to 1.04. Now, you can start at the joint A now. So AY is going in the positive direction, which means the vertical component of AB has to counteract that in the negative direction. And from that information, you will know that AB, the Y component of that at least, is going to be negative 1.04 because it'll have to be a compression force going downwards. And since they are all 45, 45, 90 triangles, you can just use trigonometry, so like cosine or sine of 45 degrees, which is essentially the same thing as using like the root 2 factor. And you will basically multiply it by root 2 to get like the hypotenuse of AB, because right now you've only got the vertical component, and you will get that AB is equal to negative 1.47. So this is going to be the first member that we get, but it's not one of the members that we were like told to get. But now you can move on to the next like joint, because this is method of joints. And since you know that AB is equal to negative 1.47, and you know that BJ is going to be equal to 0, you can find the vertical component of BI, because the vertical component of BI is going to be equal to the vertical component of AY. So I'm going to do like a net force about B in the Y direction, which is going to be equal to 0, which is going to be equal to ABY plus BY. No, BIY plus BJ. But BJ is going to be equal to 0. So you can plug in ABY, and you can plug in the ABY that you got there, and the BIY is what you're going to be solving for, and BJ is equal to 0, so you don't have to consider that. And you'll get that BIY is going to be equal to 1.04, and then therefore BI is going to be 1.47 using the root 2 factor, because it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So that is the first of the rest of the members that you're going to have to get. So now you've got BJ, and now you've got BI. So then you'll move on to the next joint at joint I, because you follow the BI member to the next joint, and you'll do another net force equation, and it's going to be basically a repetition. So now you're going to do the F about joint I in the y direction, which is going to be equal to 0 because it's static, and that is going to be equal to BIY plus CI. And then if you plug in the BIY that you just got over here, you'll find out that CI is just equal to the negative of BIY, which will mean CI is equal to negative 1.04 kips. So that'll be another member that you've already gotten. So now you've got CI. Just going to circle that over there. And then you can move up to the next joint, which is C. So I'm just going to circle the joints after we do each one. So now you do the vertical Y component of forces at C. And now you have CI, which means you can easily find CH. So the forces about C in the Y direction is equal to the net force is going to be equal to 0, which is going to be equal to CI plus CH in the Y direction. And if you have CI over here, you can plug in negative 1.04 for that. And that means that CH in the Y direction is going to be equal to 1.04 because the CI will be the negative of CHY since they both have to add up to 0. Now, if CHY is equal to 1.04, you can multiply that by root 2 to find the hypotenuse, and that means that CH is going to be equal to 1.47 kips. So there, you've already got another member. I'm going to circle that here and then cross that out. So now you've only got 3 more to go. And now you move on to joint H, and this one's going to be a little bit different, but it's still the same general idea, where you will take the net force of H in the Y direction, which is going to be equal to CHY plus DH minus 2.6 kips, because you have to consider the kips that are already there, and all of those combined will be equal to 0, obviously. And that means that DH is going to be equal to 2.6 minus 1.04, and you would have to rearrange by bringing DH to the other side and making everything negative. And because you already have CHY over here, you would substitute CHY there. And from that information, DH is going to be equal to 1.56 kips. I'm going to skip the calculations because I already pre-calculated them. Oh. Disappeared. And there you have DH. Now you move up to joint D, and then from there you can find DG, and you would again very tediously do another net force equation where you do the forces on joint D in the Y direction, which is going to be sum up to 0, which is going to be equal to DH plus DG in the Y direction. And if you already know DH, that means DG in the Y direction is equal to negative 1.56, and then that means DG multiplied by root 2 is going to end up being negative 2.21 kips. And I'm sorry that I'm not writing kips everywhere, but yeah, that's the unit of force that this is going to be in. Now you got DG, and that means you only have one more left. So you're going to move down to joint G, and you're going to, for the last time, do a net force equation in the Y direction at joint D using joint G using method of joints. And they will obviously still sum up to 0, and it'll be equal to DG in the Y direction plus EG. And if you have DG in the Y direction already, you can very easily find EG, which is just the negative of DGY, which means EG will be equal to 1.56 instead of negative 1.56. And that'll be the last of the members that you have to solve for in the problem, which means now you've got all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the joints that you have to solve for. And basically what you would have to do is find any special cases and knock those out. Then you would just start at one of the joints and work your way all the way around. And you would just, as soon as you get one, then you can use that information to solve the next one. And yeah, all you have to do is just, like every time you got a new value, you would just substitute it into the next equation, like that, you know? Yeah, again, everything is in Kips. So yeah, that's how you would solve this type of question.